Good morning, everybody. Welcome to News at 10. We're going to be going through the back pages and all the important stories that you need to know about, catching you up on everything that is football.
There's a lot to talk about
There's
today.
so much to talk about. We'll be going to the back page in just a second. Just to let you know, we will be talking about the Champions League and what needs to happen in each of those groups for the teams to go through in what is a huge game week for so many clubs. There's so much money in the Champions League. It's going to be very exciting. But let's get straight into the back pages, starting with the Times and Eden Hazard, who's stalling over a 300k deal. That would be nice, wouldn't it, Sam? Nice to stall over a 300k deal.
I'm on 400k a week at Ball Street.
I know. So you would stall on 300k?
I would stall on 300k.
Yeah, fair enough. In this article, it's suggesting that Hazard, who has 2.5 years left on his contract still, was offered a deal of 300k a week in September. Conte is desperate for him to sign it. Hazard is 26 years old, but he doesn't want to sign that deal because he wants to wait till the summer because he loves Real Madrid. He probably wants to go to Real Madrid. And most importantly, he wants to work with Zinedine Zidane, who is his hero. Zidane's going through a difficult time at the moment. Real Madrid are 4th in the league at the moment. But in the summer, there's a general consensus that there will be a big overhaul in that Real Madrid squad, which opens up the door for Hazard to make that move to Real Madrid.
Let's not forget that Hazard is probably going to light the World Cup up as well. So I'm not sure why he would sign that deal before that, because it puts him in the perfect position if he doesn't sign that contract for the World Cup.
It's a very good point. And I think also the thing for Hazard is at 26, if he takes that deal before the summer, you've got 2 years left and there's an opportunity for Chelsea to get a good amount of money, but him to get the move that he wants. But if he does sign it, then that's the end of it for him and Real Madrid, certainly. Also in the Times today, Mike Ashley, given 2 weeks to accept offer. Amanda Staveley has given Ashley and Newcastle a fortnight to accept a £250 million deal to own the club. This is not what Ashley wants at all. He wants around 400 million, maybe 380 million. He was willing to drop down. I think it's that early stage of the negotiations, but the frustrating thing for Ashley was that he came out and said he wanted the deal done by Christmas, and it looks like that's not going to happen.
He should put the club up for sale earlier then, Mike Ashley. These things take time, and you can understand if Amanda Staveley does want a sort of relegation clause in that contract, because Newcastle, they're not playing very well at the moment, and they are in danger of being relegated, which will massively decrease the value of that asset. So
yeah, what feels like the smart move here from Staveley and both of them in terms of their negotiations is wait till the end of the season. If Newcastle are settled and comfortable in the Premier League for another season, then you can get that extra money. But understandably, Staveley doesn't want to spend 400 million on a club that could be in the Championship next season. Quickly on the back page of the Mirror, Raheem's real steal. Sterling shelves contract talks until after World Cup and puts Spanish giants on alert. That's not even a story in my eyes. Let's move on to the Metro. Cesc Fabregas talking about how he's proved Conte wrong. When Conte came in, I think a lot of people were suggesting that it might be the end for Fabregas with the amount of running that he can do and what Conte wanted from his team. But he has proved him wrong. He's been superb for Chelsea and is now a regular starter for them. And he wants to get that final thing, that final trophy that he hasn't ever got, that Champions League medal. And he's hoping to be doing that with Chelsea, who are through, but they'll be playing Atletico Madrid, who aren't through yet. We'll go through that in just a second. Back page of The Guardian. The FA Cup draw was last night, and the only.
Lots of derbies though, but the main one is obviously Liverpool versus Everton. They play each other this weekend in the first derby of the season. Massive week for Liverpool. Spartak Moscow, we'll talk about that in the Champions League.
Yeah, huge.
And the first Merseyside derby. And then they're going to play each other again in January. So it's an exciting third round FA Cup draw, isn't it? That
is good. You want to see those kind of ones. Brighton against Crystal Palace is another one. Middlesbrough versus Sunderland, another derby. But of course, it's that one. And interesting stat with that is that Liverpool have never beaten Everton in the FA Cup at Anfield, so they'll be looking to get that done.
Everton also haven't won at Anfield in a long time.
so something's got to give, I guess. And finally, one for you, Sam, here. Back page of The Independent. Luke Shaw deserves chance to fight, says Mourinho. Manchester United playing tonight, and Luke Shaw could get a start. What are your thoughts on this?
I've been saying Luke Shaw deserves a chance to fight for a long time, but Jose Mourinho has never given him the opportunity, so I'm not... Kind of feels like a pot kettle black situation here because Mourinho.
What do you do it, Mourinho? Give him a chance.
He is the one that has stopped Luke Shaw getting his opportunities. You know, he's had a really tough couple of years. When he came back, I always say this about players who are injured or on the fringe of the first team. When they come into the first team, maybe the manager or some fans expect them to just be 10 out of 10 straight away. But it's very hard to do that. And Luke Shaw showed that. He wasn't ready to come back. And because of that, he went straight back out, so his opportunity was very limited. I genuinely think he can be the best left back at United. Right now, Ashley Young is firing on all cylinders, 2 goals against Watford. But Luke Shaw, I still think he's the future of England left back and hopefully the future of United. But I think Mourinho's lying.
Okay, get in the comments, let us know. We're going to be talking about the Champions League right now. If you're a Liverpool fan, Man United fan, any fan, let us know your thoughts on the Champions League, which teams you're worried about in terms of going into the Europa League as well. If you're an Arsenal fan, that's an interesting one. Someone wrote a comment down saying that there's a lot of teams that, of course, aren't going to make it into the top 2. Let's look at the fixtures for Tuesday and Wednesday then. On Tuesday, Man United against CSKA Moscow, Celtic, huge game for them against Anderlecht, Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, Benfica versus Basel, Bayern Munich versus PSG. I think Bayern Munich have got to win by 3 goals to get top of the group. How outrageous would that be if PSG don't finish top?
Oh, is that because it doesn't go down on goal difference, does it? It goes down on head-to-head record.
Head-to-head, exactly.
PSG's goal difference right now, 23. Bayern's is 5. This is after 5 fixtures.
But it can all turn around. And I guess that both of those teams are obviously already through. Roma versus Karabag, Barcelona versus Sporting. Barcelona still haven't won that group yet. And also Olympiacos versus Juventus. Sporting, if they can beat Barcelona and Juventus don't win, they will go into second place and Juventus will have to settle with the Europa League. On Wednesday, just quickly, the big game, I think, in terms of the English clubs, it's got to be Liverpool versus Spartak Moscow. Let's look at the group tables, kicking off with Manchester United then. We'll look at Liverpool in a second. Let's know your thoughts on it. Manchester United looking pretty settled there. They should be fine.
We won our first 4 games, then we really took our foot off the gas and we lost away to Basel, which made this game unnecessarily interesting, but it's not really because United need to lose and lose by 6 to some ridiculous goal turnaround. United, and if we're Mourinho, we are Mourinho, so we're just going to draw this game. It's going to be 0-0. It won't be exciting, but United will go through. It's exactly what's going to happen. Okay,
Group B, we told you about it there briefly, but Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich are through. But for Celtic, this is huge. I think going into that group, they knew they weren't going to get in the top 2 when you've got Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain in front of them. But to get that great win that they did away from home against Anderlecht, it puts them in such a good position tonight. Can they do it? Let us know in the comments. I think it would be an absolute disaster for Brendan Rodgers to achieve what he's achieved at Celtic, to improve them as much as he has, and to not even get into the Europa League would be a bit of a disaster. I mean, it should be fine.
As you pointed out there, we have had a comment about how difficult the Europa League is going to be this year, and lots was said about Manchester United's run. You look at Liverpool's the year before, they had to play United away, they had to play Dortmund. Their route to the final, which they lost against Seville, was very, very hard. United had Celta Vigo, Anderlecht, and then Ajax in the final. This year, you're looking at teams that could drop down. You've got Atletico Madrid or Roma. You've got potentially Juventus. You've got maybe Sevilla, but they're probably going to go through. Spartak Moscow, Napoli. That's a tough one. Leipzig, Monaco. Wow. Monaco are out. Borussia Dortmund. That is going to be a stacked Europa League, so it's not going to be easy for Arsenal at all.
Let's look at Group E then. That's on Wednesday. Liverpool in pole position at the moment. Could we have 5 English teams in the final rounds of the Champions League? I think that's a great improvement. It just shows how much we've always had more money, but I think now you can see that that's kind of starting to come through.
Well, you went through that period of so Manchester United were in, say, the final in 2007-8, then we were in the final in 2008-9, and there was a period where 3 of the 4 semi-finalists in the Champions League were all English, and then the English teams just really disappeared for quite a while. So hopefully this is a resurgence of English teams back in European football. Yeah,
Liverpool, if they draw or win, they are through and they will win the group. If they draw, then Sevilla can leapfrog them, but what's interesting about this is Spartak Moscow have to win in third place. So going to Anfield, I think that's going to play into Liverpool's hands. I think they're such a good counter-attacking side, and often what's difficult is then breaking teams down. Spartak Moscow are going to have to come and try and win that game, and if they can be steady, Liverpool, in the first half, I think second half their quality will show, and they'll top that group, which is a great opportunity.
We've got a comment here from Emma Riley-Barrett saying, very nervous for Liverpool. We should have been through already. Any Liverpool fans watching, again, let us know how you're feeling about that. But I think you're right. The attack of Liverpool, given that Spartak Moscow have to attack, they will have high lines. Balls in behind for Salah, Mane should expose Spartak Moscow, and you've got more than enough to win that game. But what if Spartak can get an early goal? It's going to be a nervous Anfield.
It is going to be nervous. And the big thing here is that this is... there's going out of a competition, which is never a good thing, but the money that you'd miss out on if you don't make it through the groups is absolutely huge. And by finishing third, which is what would happen with Liverpool, that's not the end of it. It's not just the loss of the money, it's the pressure that's going to be put on that Liverpool squad, having to play in all sorts of places in the Europa League after that. I think when it's Champions League, you can live with that because it is the best competition in the world. But to go into the Europa League and what's going to be, as you said, such a difficult Europa League. I think Arsenal, you've been looking at it and look at that group that you've got, which was, I mean, it is poor, but it is, of course, the early rounds of the Europa League. But what happens is there's that injection of these top teams that are coming into the Europa League, and it's not going to make it a cakewalk for Arsenal like it kind of was for Man United last season.
You've still got to beat the teams you've got laid in front of you, but we did get easier draws than, as I said, the Liverpool the year before when they lost. They're on the route to the final. They played tough teams the whole way through. And if you're looking at teams that can go through from the Europa League group stages, Villarreal, no knockover. AC Milan, obviously they did draw against Benevento at the weekend, but maybe they will improve. Olympic Lyon. Okay, I'm kind of clutching at straws here. Let's move on.
The final one, Chelsea playing tonight, Atletico Madrid, which is could be a disaster for Atletico Madrid. They have to win the game if they want to go through, because essentially AS Roma are playing Maribor. Surely they will...
I mean, they're effectively...
Sorry, not Maribor, Karabag. And
well, they are effectively out, aren't they? So Roma...
Well, no.
As you say, I was saying that Atletico Madrid drew twice against Karabag. That's why they're in this situation, unfortunately for them. Griezmann saved them with an overhead kick, I think it was, against Roma, but it feels like a little bit of too little, too late from Atletico Madrid.
Yeah. So there you have it. Who do you think is going to miss out in the Champions League? Who's going to finish last? I saw one comment talking about Borussia Dortmund could even finish last in their group, which would, of course, be a disaster for them. Let us know your thoughts on Liverpool. Will they do it?
There's a few comments here before we finish. We've got one from Nikita Miskovic saying Liverpool is in no danger. Spartak are trash. Got Toshan Williams saying Liverpool has the second best attack in the league. Unfortunately, they've got the worst defence. And I think that sums Liverpool up at the moment. You will be confident. If you can get the early goal, the nerves will go down. But as we said, Spartak somehow get that early goal, it's going to be a tense occasion. But sometimes Anfield can rise to the occasion in terms of European fixtures, and that's what Liverpool fans want tonight.
It's going to be a cracking night, yeah, and hopefully they can make it through. Right, so there you have it. Well, not for you, but I'm quite happy with Liverpool to go through. Let us know your thoughts, as I said, on the Champions League. Who's going to win the whole thing, and who would you not want if you're a Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, God, how many other teams there? Man United or Chelsea fan?
There we go, you got them.
Who would you love to get in the next round? Who would you like to avoid? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you tomorrow for another News at 10. Hit that subscribe button. Do it right now, because it all helps.
Listen to it.
Thank you very much.
Listen to it.
Hit the like button as well. We'll see you tomorrow.